the 80th anniversary of D-Day landings, and in many places, in many communities across this country, people have had a moment's silence in respect for those who sacrificed their lives for us and generations before us. In response to that, on this occasion, I would like to formally propose that we hold a minute's silence in remembrance of those D-Day landings and those brave people involved in all of that. So I'm making a proposal and I'm looking for a second. Thank you, Councillor Daw. Before we move forward to that, rather than discuss it, I would simply like us to have a vote. All those in favour, please. Thank you. All those against? All those abstaining? Okay. We will now hold a minute's silence from now. Thank you. Again, before we start the agenda items, I need to inform councillors that Councillor Good will receive a resignation and thereful the voluntary resignation, which was only in the last 24 hours. The next thing that I'm intending to do as chair is to move item C3, which is IT migration resolution, that a recommendation be made to full council to approve the migration to a new IT provider, up to be included in item 4, because we have somebody here who can answer councillors' questions potentially, and therefore that would follow on from the report on awards for foods and activities programme. That is simply as a courtesy to the people who are coming here to deliver or to support any decisions that we have to make, and therefore rather than make the individuals here to come and share information with us about the migration, sit through a good percentage of the meeting, simply hear from a bit later. We are now starting the agenda properly. We now move to public participation. In this, members of the public are invited to comment on matters within the parish. So I will simply move along through what people are here. So would you like to say anything?
Well, after you mentioned that Councillor Good has resigned, I was wondering, she is heading up the consultation for looking into the neighbourhood plan. And I wondered, has she resigned from that as well?
I can't comment on behalf of Councillor Good, who's now a private citizen. And so the simple answer is, I don't know. Okay.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. It's good that you recognise obviously the importance of today. I watched the TV stuff, and it just makes you feel humbled at what happened on that particular day. My father and his two brothers all did their bit, they say, but not on D-Day. But my father was in the Royal Artillery, and he spent time on the coastal defences in the southwest. My two uncles, my uncle John and my uncle William, they were in North Africa, and I think it was the 8th Army, pushing Rommel out of the way and all that stuff, and then up into Italy and to join up with the rest of it later on. And like many of the people that had anything to do with the Second World War, they never ever spoke about anything at all. And I suppose the only other thing is I seem to be hearing you better this week than usual. I was going to ask you if you would speak up, because we were spoke a bit by Edward when he was mayor, and I would just ask all councillors if you could speak up, because whilst we have a right to come and listen to you, it would be nice to know what you were saying. That's all. If we could bear that in mind.
That's on two things there, can I say? You speak certainly to experiences in my family, and I'm sure people around the table.
Yes.
And as somebody who has severe hearing loss, I totally understand the position. You person, okay, Mr. Jennings.
What is view about the only council not having a beacon tonight? They've lit them up from the Sillies right up through, but View in Bournemouth. What is that? Why does View council always have to be different everywhere else? Why can't we always be the same as the rest of Cornwall?
Well, I can't speak to the decisions that other councils have made. I can simply say to you that this council made a firm decision to light up the Storm Tower in a manner similar to a beacon. That was the decision that was made on the vote of this council, and that's the one we stand by. And you say, okay. You, madam, do you wish to say anything? No. Okay. You said.
Good evening. I suggest that the new elected mayor steps down because of the way he treated me at the last meeting. I understand that you have not read the Equality of Human Rights. Article 10, freedom of speech and expression. You stopped me last week twice when trying to say something. And Article 10 protects your rights to hold your own opinion and free speech. The public authorities must show that the restriction is prioritized, that the restriction is other than words that is suitable. So why did you stop me last week when you didn't even know what I was discussing, other than you said how it might affect people in this room? And I said nothing derogatory against members of the public or the councillors. So I suggest you step down because you're not fit for purpose.
Okay, first off.
And let somebody else take your place.
Okay, first off, I'm the elected mayor, therefore I'm a democratically elected mayor, and that gives me the authority.
Could you speak up, please?
I apologise, I'll stand up.
Thank you.
So, I am the elected mayor therefore that gives me the democratic right to chair this meeting. And within this meeting, we certainly recognise the free speech and all the rights within that. But this is a formal meeting. And when we hold formal meetings, the people around this table all speak to each other in a formal manner. And we understand the restrictions and what is required of us there. We also recognise the Equality Act, which protects particular people with particular characteristics. And I explained to you last week why I was asking you to stop. And thankfully, you did stop to a certain extent. You modified what you said, and you did have a chance to have what you said.
Yes, but everybody has the right to freedoms of speech and freedom of expression.
Okay, I've heard you now.
If you're Cornish and you're holding me up.
Well, you asked me a question.
Cornish bred.
You have asked me a question.
Yes.
I now replied to your question.
Right. You step down.
Right. So we are now moving on. Oh, I do apologise.
I'm so sorry. As it's the public one, I've got something from someone.
Okay, please do carry on. Sorry.
But I just would like to say this, I'm not mind using, I'm not like this. I'm sorry I can't attend this evening, but I want to help my brother bringing in the hay. My name is Harry, and you may remember my speech regarding SEND children in the Bude area. I would like the council to know that I'm disappointed not to have any response. I'm now an ambassador for Send It Forward, that's Send SEND It Forward, sorry, through Action for Children, and will be gathering information to present to the team, who will be passing it on to someone that will be accountable. I offered my assistance last time I was here, but this was not taken up. So again, I would like to use this opportunity to offer the council a chance to liaise regarding SEND issues in the area and help us to help ourselves. I would also like to mention something that happened today at school. I would have expected a short presentation in Assembly about the lives that were lost during D-Day, but we were not given this opportunity. Instead, we were given a presentation about pride. I agree that pride is also important, but not showing respect towards the people that fought and died for our freedom, I found disrespectful, especially on the 80th anniversary. I understand the council cannot do anything directly about the school, but had there been some commemoration event, we may have been able to join in. I was also disappointed to hear that there were no Budehaven pupils laying a wreath today. Thank you for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Okay, can I speak to that from my personal experience? I emphasise I'm responding entirely in my personal position as a Budehaven teacher at this point. I'm surprised that he had a presentation. Was he even Assembly?
Yes.
Well, I will take that back to Mr. Wilkes, because I'm surprised that he had a presentation on that subject, because every form had a presentation that was specially written by Mr. Evans, the history teacher, about D-Day and everything to do with how our connections with the Rangers and the actual details of it and the historical context of it. I myself delivered that presentation to my year 10 form, and every form was supposed to have that. I'm surprised that they had, and that was directed by Mr. Wilkes. I'm personally surprised from what Harry says, so I will take that forward to Mr. Wilkes. The second thing I'll also say is that the school also held a minute silence at 11 o'clock to coincide with the laying of the wreath and the minute silence at Sugar Hill. This was a series of things that I personally discussed with Mr. Wilkes when I had to apply for time to not be in school, and we shared our mutual family backgrounds and how we were affected by the war, how our families had been affected. But I will take Harry's concerns back. That's perfectly fine. Can I also suggest, if it's appropriate, with his mother, that I have a conversation with Harry in school, because I know Harry and hopefully you'll feel comfortable talking to me about this. And I would attempt to listen to what he's asking about, and I will attempt to bring to council the things that he's asking.
Thank you. He would be happy to hear that. Thank you.
So I'm speaking again as mayor. Does anybody else wish to say anything from the public participate? Okay, right. So we now move on to agenda item number 1, to receive apologies and accept the reasons for non-attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel apologies from Councillor Moore's work, Councillor Diffie, personal reasons, Councillor LeBroy, also work, Councillor Tame, personal reasons, Councillor Purchase, personal reasons, and Councillor Blewett, personal reasons.
Okay, so I propose that we accept those reasons. 1 second, thank you. Can we vote in favour? Against? Abstain. Okay, thank you. The next thing we're moving on to is item 2, receive any declarations of interest on items on the agenda and agree any dispensations. Yes.
I am part of the various community group.
Okay, thank you. No, that was received. Okay, that was received. Okay, that takes us on to item agenda 3, to receive and adopt decision notice and and a recommendation of a code of conduct complaint, Councillor O'Sullivan versus Councillor Good. So, a decision notice has been received from Cornwall Council's monitoring officer regarding a complaint made against a councillor's behaviour in relation to the code of conduct. Members have received a copy of this and are now required to acknowledge and process this matter. That councillor has now tendered her resignation with immediate effect. We've sought advice to ensure that we proceed appropriately in these circumstances and have been advised the notice still needs to be publicly received. As the member has resigned, the council is not able to apply any of the sanctions or censure the subject matter, but it is still important to adopt the notice and recommendations. The decision notice upholds the complaint and states that comments made to the clerk are not respectful, and it is incumbent upon the council to distance itself from such behaviour. The council has received an assessment decision notice CCN 174/23/24 in respect of a complaint made against Councillor Bird by Councillor O'Sullivan that, quote, due to an email sent by the clerk by the subject matter and copied to all councillors and the complainant considers that the subject matter has breached the code of conduct. Quote. The Town Council has signed the civility and respect pledge and is expected to uphold the highest levels of appropriate behaviour in relationships with the public, with colleagues, and most particularly with the staff employed by the council. The decision notice found a breach of the code. An individual councillor's actions and conduct will always reflect on the wider role of a councillor and, as a direct consequence, will inevitably impact on the reputation of their fellow councillors and the council as a whole, both generally and specifically. The council has adopted a code of conduct which promotes the principles of public life, including a duty to treat others with respect. This council believes that it is incumbent on all councillors to ensure the public have confidence and trust in their elected representatives. That is the end of the statement. Councillor Daw, if you wish to say something.
Well, it was just a question to the clerk, if I may. Did you receive a meaningful apology from Councillor Good before she resigned, as requested by the monitoring officer?
I didn't receive any apology.
Disappointing.
Could I ask that we do not comment on the actions of somebody who is now a private citizen? Okay. Yes.
I'm just querying the wording of the agenda with where it says recommendation code of conduct complaint Councillor O'Sullivan versus Councillor Good. It suggests that this was a conflict of some sort between myself and former Councillor Good. Shouldn't this be the monitoring officer versus Councillor Good? In legal terms, it would be in the event of it being taken to tribunal, it would be common council versus Councillor Good, not Councillor O'Sullivan versus Councillor Good.
Yeah, I'm happy to reflect that in minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Collins.
I'm not going to speak about this case, except to say that he who is without sin cast the first stone. I'm guilty of many things, including sending emails I wish I hadn't sent. I would like to pay a personal tribute to Councillor Good. I believe that she brought a lot of skill to this table. I believe that she brought a lot of hard work to this table. And it is a personal sadness to me that she doesn't find it within herself to be able to carry on in the role of councillor, and that we have come to this point, this fork in the road. So I would like it recorded that I feel that Councillor Good has been an extremely positive force overall.
Okay. So we now move on to item 4, to receive a report on awards for food and activities programme. So we have somebody here who can give us
This was lined up, but,
It's not, so,
but apparently, yeah.
okay, unfortunately, then we'll have to move on to what I said that I would do with item 7C3, which was IT migration. It is a resolution is that a recommendation be made to full council to approve the migration of a new IT provider. We have Luna here, who I think will take us through.
Yes, I certainly will. Okay, thank you. We first brought this to the committee in May. And just so that I'll give you a quick brief of it. We are currently in a unique position to review our existing communication services as they are aligning to come to an end with their contracts. So with this in mind, our internet connection, our telephones and our IT support services have all been submitted for scrutiny on their performance to date. We have researched 5 different companies. 2 of those are existing companies, and we have 3 new companies that we've looked at altogether. The IT migration report details all the issues we have to date, so hopefully you have received a copy of that. But to summarise it, it's been found that our current internet connection is underperforming. It's led to experience slow uploads and slow downloads speeds, as well as continuously providing intermittent connections. We're currently out of contract with that provider. Our desktop telephones are nearly 10 years old. They have no soft phone options. You can't update them. There's no easy customer portal to control the administration of these for connecting to all the teams. And the rental service is coming up to end in August. Our IT support has been underperforming for the past 2 years. They are Exeter based, and the call out to us is not only very expensive, it's really slow to be actioned. We're missing around 30% of the services that they promised. We've been continuously let down by them with our requests. The contract that is coming up in October this year. So to add to this, we're currently using 6 different providers for those services. We'd like to move to one company, so an umbrella company for all of these services, and that will not only reduce the monthly costs, it will also connect the 4 buildings that we have together with a fast, reliable, secure and up-to-date service that in the face of really serious issues will not only be protected and safe, but will allow the whole team to be connected and work smarter. We propose to move over to this new supplier over a series of phases over the next few months if this decision is agreed upon this evening. We welcome our invited IT specialist, Dave Williamson, to the meeting, who can answer any questions that you may have with regards to moving any of those services over into one umbrella company. Dave, if you'd like to be present in case anyone has any questions for you.
Indeed. I'm here to answer any question.
I can get Facebook, could you can't. I'm serious.
Any questions? We've recently got Dave involved in an IT strategy, so we're actually in the middle of putting that report together. But I know there was concerns around GDPR last time that we met, and an IT strategy was one of them, so we kind of addressed that issue. But if there's anything else anyone has.
Did I have a question? It's my understanding that you're a local company and have experience working with local councils.
Yeah, that's right, Austin. Based 22 years of council work. With some of the councils, we're the longest serving team, if you like, of the council, and all the changes of the councillors. So we are experienced with all of the, this would be a different council, but the procedures of council, we are well versed in this. Yeah, that's a long time to serve council. And that's parish or and other.
Thank you. Second question.
Yep.
In my job, oftentimes I have problems with a computer and I have to send an email or generate a ticket or something like that, and it goes into somebody's inbox and I have to sit in the queue for that to be fixed. Do you operate a similar system to that
No.
or something else?
No,
But what do you do?
you call us on our direct number that you'll have,
Yeah.
which is private to your council.
Mhm.
That will be answered by a human, not in the systems.
Great, thank you,
We don't do that.
thank you.
It's a nightmare.
Any other councillors like to ask?
I haven't got a question. Obviously, I sat through the briefing for the Democratic and we did dive into it. It's a great presentation, by the way.
Yeah, very so.
I'm perfectly comfortable
Mhm.
with this.
Okay.
Just make a comment.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, huge thanks to Dave for working with on this and proposing it together. I just wanted to reinforce the fact that this is going to be a much improved service for all of our departments. So hopefully it will help to sort of join us all up a little bit more. So it will be better provision of parcel. The library is going to have the computer so that they can actually be joined up with us IT wise, which they're not at the moment. They're sitting separately because they're just working with Cornwall Council, but not with us. And also Steve unit is going to have better facilities and obviously the Park House as well. So it's all across the board. It's going to be much better and should improve our general sense of well-being and reduce the stress and frustration of having very slow response times. So from a staffing point of view, we're very much in support of this proposal.
Thank you. Would somebody like to propose?
Yeah, I'll propose.
I'll second.
Okay, all right. All those in favour? Okay, I think that's unanimous. Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Obviously, you do not have to stay for the rest of the night.
Can I just, I only met you when the first time, I can't think when it was, back in,
Last year, October.
was it that long ago, was that? But thank you, because for helping me out with the audits and then showing me around, it's been good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leon, for all the work you've done in this. And of course, I have to say, something else in this agenda, you are certainly free.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be in touch.
Yes, indeed, thank you.
Okay, we now move on to item 5, the mayor's report, and I've been a bit busy since I was elected. And so bear with me while I just take you through this. Since my election as mayor, I've fulfilled several ceremonial duties and also been involved in many meetings. On Saturday, the 18th of May, the first occasion at which I represented Bude-Stratton was a celebration of 45 years of friendship with our twin town of Gabarek, welcoming visitors and sharing gifts in the Ivor Potter Hall. I gave a speech emphasising the need now more than ever to reach across borders, to explore our similarities and celebrate our differences. I was lucky that my youngest daughter acted as one of the translators, helping to share my ramblings. I'd also like to thank Frankie for her superb dual language presentation about our Storm Tower project, and Robbie Pitts for his equally multilingual presentation on cooperative organic mushroom growth. Our visitors and Bude-Stratton Twinning Association were highly complimentary about Council's support for this year's event. My second opportunity to represent Bude-Stratton was the following day, when I was honoured to lay a wreath at the Battle of Stamford Hill Memorial in remembrance of the 400 or so soldiers who died there in 8 long hours of brutal fighting in May 1643. Other councillors, members of the Sealed Knot and members of the public were in attendance at this solemn event. One thing I did note was the present condition of what is possibly the oldest war memorial in Britain, and I suspect that its maintenance may become a long-term future project for our own council. On Wednesday, the 22nd of May, I was also honoured to join Bude, RNI in celebrating the return of Sally and Anthony Brown from walking around the whole of the British Isles coastline. It was 5,600 miles over 13 months, and it started in Bude and ended in Bude. They were doing this to raise funds for the RNLI and Cornwall Air Ambulance. As they're both around the same age as me, I feel I need to get out more. Then, on Saturday the 25th of May, I joined our Cornwall councillor, Peter LeBroy, at Bude and North Cornwall Golf Club to officially open their new patio area called The Terrace. I was happy to support this event in order to recognise the part this important anchor institution has played in developing its character and bringing economic benefit to our community. Then, on Saturday, 1st of June, I was able to open Bude Climate Festival and then join Shah and other councillors for an extended Meet the Council event in glorious sunny weather. Again, I would like to thank our staff for the wonderful support they've given to the practical setting up of the festival and then being on hand to help on the day. My final ceremonial duty this month was to lay a wreath at Shoulder Hill Monument this morning as part of the ceremony of remembrance for those who gave their lives on D-Day 80 years ago today. Apart from these ceremonial duties, I have been involved in a series of meetings. I was able to attend an informal meeting with the Chair of the Bude Town Team, supported by Councillor Brewer and our Deputy Clerk, and then a formal town team meeting, which I hope will lead to positive outcomes for everyone involved in this crucial project to build long-term economic vitality for our town. I've been determined to learn about our staff and the nature of their work, so I've had many meetings with our officers and managers and other staff here in the Park House, at the Castle, and also at our facilities depot, accompanied by Councillor Colwell and his donors. This, which is a fantastic idea, this is something I wish to continue so that I and other councillors can be as supportive as possible to the people who work so hard to support us and the projects that are so important to Bude-Stratton. And finally, I joined Bude-Stratton Library as mayor because I'm ashamed to say that as an English teacher, I was not already a member and thought that I really should do so as mayor. It was quick and painless. I received a cool card and I recommend the experience to all councillors. Okay, now at this point, we would usually move on to item 6, but unfortunately we have no quorum councillors present. So we will simply now move on to item 7, which
Rest of the recommendations. You want one, yeah?
I'm going to move that.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do that one. Sorry.
you only move that one. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so we now move on to item 7, which is dealing with the minutes. So item 7A, full council to approve the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held so long ago on the 4th of June. So proposer,
I'll propose that.
seconder. Okay, and all those in favour? Thank you. Those against? Those abstaining? Okay, thank you. 7B, committees to receive and note the minutes of the committee meetings listed below. 1, the planning committee meetings on the 8th and 22nd of May 2024. Do I have a proposal? Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Okay. All those in favour? All those against? Abstaining? Thank you. Number 3, corporate and democratic services. Sorry, I apologise. Number 2, culture and heritage services committee, 9th of May 2024. Proposal. Thank you. Seconder. Thank you, Simon. All those in favour? Those against? Abstaining? Item 3, Corporate and Democratic Services Committee, 16th of May 2024. Those in, sorry, do I have a proposer? Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? Abstain. Thank you. And finally, number 4, Facilities and Environmental Committee, 23rd of May 2024. Do I have a proposer?
Opposed.
Thank you. Second? Thank you. And all those in favour? All those against? Abstaining. Okay, and we now move on to the recommendations 7C coming out of those meetings and minutes. So C1, CD/056/24, Town Council Risk Assessment, the resolution. B, to recommend to full council that the risk assessment be received and approved. Any comments on this?
Person do that.
Okay, seconded. Okay, thank you. All those in favour? I think that's unanimous. Thank you. 2, CD/057/24, anti-bribery and corruption policy. Resolution to recommend to full council that the policy, with the amendment of chairman to chair throughout the policy, be adopted. Any comments?
Person do that.
Thank you. Seconded. Thank you. All those in favour? I think that's unanimous. Thank you. We now jump to number 4 because we've dealt with number 3. FES/035/24, Berries Avenue Play Area. That BSTC enter into negotiations with Cornwall Council to devolve Berries Avenue Play Area and the surrounding green space to Bude-Stratton Council. I've got some comments. Yes, Kevin.
This was something that came out of F&E. The facilities manager has done assessment. I can't recall the formal title of the document, but it's basically looking at the possibility, the costs and risks of us as an organisation taking that on in the short term, and it's not really tenable. But in the longer term, to facilitate the transfer of that play facility to a residents group and to support that residents group moving forward, and possibly in the very long term, look to take some sort of ownership of that, was discussed. Councillor Broy was keen that we pursue at an early opportunity the transference of the legal ownership of that play park, because there was some concern that it might be developed and that other uses might be found for that area, and he wanted to ensure that we somehow had a say moving forward on that play park. The proposal as it stands does not commit us to large amounts of work nor to large amounts of expenditure. It is simply aspirational and supportive of the residents.
Just to add to that, a little bit more information. So basically the Berries community group have come together because the community have been desperate for this park to be, well, it's not usable. If you've been there, if you've got children who go there, there's nothing there. It's been totally neglected by Cornwall Council for a very long time. And so our thoughts are that if we could perhaps get this council to sort of agree to, start the devolution process with Cornwall Council without any commitment of money, it would actually be the community group that would become an official group to raise that money and to do all the work. But it's just to keep that play park and that green area safe, so that Cornwall Council can't change their mind and decide to build on it or do something, that we know that it's protected, and it would be an asset to this council in the now and in the future once the work has been done. But it's not as an immediate cost. We're not say, take over, and do it for us, because as a community group, we're prepared to do that. More just as a protection for us, for the community, for the future, and I think it'd be a good asset. That was just a bit more information from our perspective.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to make a comment?
Okay, I've got a question. This was previously in the hands of a community group. And that's how it's fell into site disrepair, I live there. Have we spoken to them, found out what went wrong and what the plan would be to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yes, so, am I okay, is that answer?
Please do.
So, the information that we've gathered from talking to the people that live right round there and the information we've had is that unfortunately the group didn't seek the right permissions, is what I've gathered, and also perhaps paid for a lot of it a little prematurely before they had all of the money themselves, and therefore there was, I don't know 100% sure, so this may not be completely true, but there was one individual that obviously ended up taking the brunt of that financially. Right. So we are not going to be like that. We, want to be an official constituted group. We've already got someone to be chair, secretary, treasurer. We want to get it done properly, efficiently, and our one and only goal is to improve that play park.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, are we jumping the gun here slightly because the resolution is to devolve it to BSTC, not to a community group?
Yes, the resolutions, I understand why you're putting in the background and intentions, but Councillor Sutton's quite right, just one step at a time. And when we make one step, it doesn't mean so you can continue making steps. Councillor.
It was the opinion of Councillor Roy as Corn Councillor that the really only way forward, and certainly best way forward, would be for this body to start the process of negotiation for the council. Bearing in mind, if we look at things like the skate park, it takes a long time. So what we are committing to around the table today, should we choose to do so, is not the ownership of that tomorrow, but to begin a process that almost certainly in a number of years would possibly lead to us having the legal responsibility for that area. But in that interim time, the community group would be raising funds and we would be building that relationship with the community group. That's what's envisaged here. So it does appear that that we're taking on a liability, but that is not the intention. The intention is to begin a long-term process.
Any other comments?
Apologies for disturbing the meeting.
That's okay. Yes, I'll come to you again.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. My only concern is Bude-Stratton Town Council finances and a drain on them in some way. That would be, but if the community group are going to eventually be taking it on, right, that would be my only sort of concern with it.
Thank you. So,
thank you. I used to live overlooking that play park, if it's the one I'm thinking of. And when I lived there, there was a great question because it used to be part of the dump site. And there was a great question over noxious gases from the decaying material. I think they put in some sort of vent system. And there was also a question, as far as I remember, about the possibility of heavy metal pollution. Now, bearing in mind that it's been used for my children 40 odd now, and they played there and quite healthy. just before the council takes it on, I take it that there will be knowledgeable bodies, local people who will be aware. There could be a question about what the ground is actually like.
I would have thought that, as Councillor Cole said, this would be a long process. My experience of similar processes is there is quite a bit of to and fro between a town or a parish council and Cornwall Council, and all sorts of considerations and surveys would have to occur before any potential, if the council made a decision to progress this, there would have to be a number of significant steps and significant checks and balances before an agreement was made with Cornwall Council. Yes, I certainly take on board the need to make sure that that is manageable, safe, and not potentially huge debt problem for this council. Yeah. And yes.
Yeah, I just want to clarify exactly, are we committing to enter negotiations and there will be a stop point where we can decide to go ahead with the deal offered, or are we committing to negotiate and take it right now?
Well, I two answers to that. One, I'm not quite sure the answer to that, but two, my experience of these things is that you are simply entering into negotiations.
Yeah.
My experience is right the way up to the final signing on the dotted line. You can back out like in any circumstance, and my other experience is there can be quite a few disagreements on the way there.
Yeah.
So that's all I can say to you at this point. Yes,
And yes, that's my interpretation as well. And any actual decision making regarding taking it on ultimately still need to go back to council. So this is just to agree to start the process.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps needs to be clarified, it's specifically owned, not purchased. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's what, yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah.
Just think it word clarified.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Tom, sorry.
No, I was just making it clear that the negotiations are to devolve.
Yes.
Into negotiations to devolve, not purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. I agree with your point, and I also agree with hopefully the people around the table understand this thinking when that's the decision. Yes.
I'd like to propose that we go ahead with the start of negotiations.
Okay. Would you like a second? Okay. Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? All those abstain? Thank you. Right, so number 5, FES/039/24 Land Management Plan. The full council adopts the updated Land Management Plan 2024 to 2029. Welcome, comments on this? Yes, Ken.
This is another one that originates from F&E. The document that you have, the land management plan, is pretty much the work of Simon, with a number of other people chipping in little bits and pieces, but there's no doubt who did the bulk of the work, for which I think we should, as a council, be grateful. I believe it represents an excellent starting point for the facilities team to work around and to enhance our environment. I don't personally believe that we are looking at tablets of stone. We are looking at a document which has to be adapted rather in accordance to the weather and to a certain extent operational expediency. But if we have, for example, a warm wet period, the grass is going to grow particularly long and be not so good for nature and also more difficult to dispose of. So in those sort of periods, we will have the operational wiggle room to bend the plan. But this is a good starting point. It gets everybody on board, and I believe that we should be supporting.
Any more comment?
Well, I'd just like to say, this is kind of an evolution of work we've been doing with Steve and the team on some of these downs and gardens for 3 or 4 years now. Started with a small practice area of MMA, extending that small area in both time and space to work up to where we arrived at now, which I think is a really nice compromise and really helps balance the different uses of the downs between the recreational facilities, the free space for running around, and biodiversity value, which is immense now, and it's an area we should be very proud of indeed.
So if I may ask some.
Certainly.
Currently, when the grass is cut up there, is the cuttings left or removed?
It has been left.
Do we actually have the machinery to remove the cutting?
So this is something we're talking with Steve about.
Yes.
So, yes, we do. I think if we need to kind of test that bit towards the end of the summer. But there's also
I totally get why they have to be removed.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
And so we've got flexibility in the plan to kind of phase it or do it earlier or later as needed. And we are working with people like the National Trust and Cornwall Wildlife Trust to kind of guide us on what's best to do with those. So that's the bit that's as yet untested.
Yeah.
And we're moving forward with flexibility, working with Steve on that.
My only other comment on it is that the quite large area shown in the diagram on the map there is intended near Sainsbury's, which will be left uncut from April through till September.
Well, that's the flexibility. So I think the intention is to not have a strict cut off at the end of May.
Yeah.
And I think last year we went as far as July. And as Kevin said, depending on the weather, it may be earlier or later than sort of August, September time. So we've got a window within which the plants and flowers will mature and set seed. So what we don't really have, Steve has said, we don't really have the knowledge in the team to make that decision in respect to in reaction to what the nature is doing. But I think we've got guidance that can, and that's why there's kind of long ongoing discussions. And hopefully over time we will get much more experienced about when we can strike the right balance between letting the things that we want to kind of propagate or proliferate set seed and
Because my only concern with leaving particularly that area alone is I hate to say we have an issue with dog poo on the downs anyway, and long grass owners are more likely to have just walk past. That's
I
just.
would say that I've been spending a lot of time, I haven't really noticed that as an issue. Not in that area particularly. I think a lot of the longer sections on the coastal side may be used that way, but I haven't noticed it here. And I'm quite confident that that's not going to be a problem.
That just be the only thing.
But again, Steve and team are up there regularly because the edges will be maintained. There are sets of the edges, so it will be kept, contained. And as I say, we'll review it operationally, I think.
Anybody else wish to make a comment? Okay, then would like to propose. Thank you. And like a second there? Thank you. Okay, all those in favour? I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much. And so that we now move on to item 8, which is the year-end accounts. I have to say to you that unfortunately, 8A, we've not yet actually received the end of year internal audit report. So we will have to defer that to next meeting. So we move on to 8B, to consider and note the 2023-24 year-end budget report. This we appointed, which I will lean heavily on the clerk at various points. But I invite comments from councillors or questions. Okay.
No, just-
Yes, please do.
Okay, so these items that we're going to run through, I know that we've obviously done this every year, but so as the internal audit report is awaited only because it was carried out last Friday. So I'd like to speak to the internal auditor when he was here. He was extremely happy with the RFO's management of the finances throughout the year, and everything was in order and it all added up as it should. So he's happy, it's a true reflection of our activity. And so all of these items actually are, they kind of are what they are, they are the reflection of our financial activity that is all correctly documented.
Thank you. So 8B is to consider a note of the 2023-24 year-end budget report. I've already asked for comments and questions. One, could somebody please propose? Thank you, Sharon. Somebody second? Thank you. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. 8C, to approve reserve movements for the year ending 31st of March 2024 and the allocation of reserves at the start of the 2024/25 accounting year. Does anybody have any comments or queries on these documents? Okay, would somebody like to propose acceptance? Thank you, Lorraine. Would you like to second? Thank you. Right, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Right, 8D, to approve the asset register at year end 2023/24. So first up, does anybody have any queries or any comments on this? Okay, therefore, could somebody propose acceptance? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All those in favour?
No.
That's unanimous. Thank you. 8E, to approve the chair's signing of the year-end bank reconciliation. Invite comments on this. Okay, Sean, you can make a comment? Question? Sorry? So you're proposing it, sorry. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Okay, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Item 8F, to approve the annual governance statement 2023/24 for the annual return of the year ending 31st of March 2024. Yeah, sorry, Clark.
Yes, so this is where I've
Oh, this is
stepped in
the one
and
at a
bore you
time.
with the one-time reading out of the government statement. So I know you've just previously as well. So I am confident that you should be in a position to say yes to all of these. It does happen occasionally, the internal audit picks up some things that will actually have done mistakes, so you have to say no. But we're not in that position, fortunately. So I'd be very grateful if you could all chorus your yeses or ayes, or whatever you want to say, as I read these through. Okay, so number one, we have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements.
Yes.
Thank you. We maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and reviewed its effectiveness.
Yes.
We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and profit practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances.
Yes.
We provided a proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations.
Yes.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required.
Yes.
And Councillor Diffie has been very helpful with our internal controls. Right, number 6, we maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems.
Yes.
Number 7, we took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit.
Yes.
Okay, and final one, because the last one isn't quite sure. So number 8, we considered whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The sign this and include it in the ACAR and
Yeah, I'll sign that at the end. Okay, fine. Right, we now move on to 8G. To approve the accounting statements 2023/24 for the annual return of the year ending 31st of March 2024. Comments, queries? Can somebody propose? Thank you. Somebody second. Thank you. Right, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. And finally, H, to approve the dates for the exercise of public rights, which is Monday, the 10th of June to Friday, the 19th of July. I invite comments and queries on this. Okay, can I have a proposer? Can I have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, Kate. We now move on to 9, to approve finance report. So 9A, schedule of payments made between the 16th of May 2024 to the 6th of June 2024. I invite comments and queries. Okay, can I have a proposer? Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. 9B, schedule of payments to be made on the 7th of June 2024. Queries, comments? Okay, can I have a proposer? Thank you. A seconder? Thank you. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, we now move on to item 10, which I alluded to in my statement, to receive an update regarding Bude-Stratton and to approve revised terms of reference. And you will have had I have to thank Deputy Clerk for working with myself and members of the town team to find the right language that we felt addressed many of the issues that we raised previously as a council with the town team. And to put this in a context, the first meeting that I had with anybody was with the town team chair. It was an informal meeting, and at that meeting I was able to broach with the chair. I owe a debt to Councillor Purchase. I'd like to register the Councillor Purchase. It enabled me to look through the history of the different versions of constitutions, and by analysing the points of potential disagreement, we found 7 particular points of disagreement between us and the town team, as it appeared to in the constitution. And so we spent a good deal of time talking about those things, on their merits, on the language that was used, and we found a way to move forward through changing particular language and particular nuances and coming to particular understandings. And then we asked the deputy clerk to go away and to try and write down our to's and fro's and to produce a document that was able to be then presented to an official meeting of the town team that I myself, Councillor LeBroy, attended, again along with the deputy clerk, in which town team members were able to discuss the ins and outs of those 7 particular points. And as a result, the town team had a very positive attitude towards the 7 proposals, with just a very little bit of fine tuning of some of our language. And therefore, what I have to present to you today is potentially a solution to a previous disagreement that we've had. Now, I have to say to you that this does not mean that we would not be attending, as we have resolved, a workshop about how town teams and local councils work. That is a thing that will be provided by Cornwall Council for many, many parish councils, and we will all be invited onto that when it is organised. It does not mean that we had open to us mediation, and we have not rejected mediation. We have suspended that option because we feel that we may have here something that allows us to move on. My concern throughout this was twofold. One, I was completely committed to the objectives of the town team in terms of improving economic vitality, what I call building community wealth, in view.
Sorry.
And I do feel that our town team, once we've established it and moved through the 15 objectives that the town team has the potential to last for decades, has the potential to change as it evolves, and has the potential to make real consistent change in town of Bude, in partnership with our town council, with clear democratic oversight exercised by us and also through Cornwall Council through a variety of ways, including that Cornwall Council that sits on that. And at the same time, this would enable the team to get started. Now, would you like me to, I'm looking through these things here. And I'm thinking about the particular 7 things. I would like to draw your attention to the document that numbers 7 things, which says it's at the top. It says Bude Town Team, and I'd like to draw your attention. These were the 7 points of difference between us and Bude Town Team, and I have to say to you, Bude Town Team has formally agreed to this at this point. So number 1, BSTC to appoint 2 town team representatives who should not be subject to town team veto. Responsibility will be delegated to the town council's representatives of the town team to agree decisions on behalf of the council unless those representatives feel the issue in question needs to be referred back to the council. The town team, number 2, will function as a facilitator for realising only the projects set out in the Bude Vision Investment Plan. It will do this by developing partnerships, signposting funding opportunities, and encouraging the community to bring projects to fruition. It is not the intention of the town team to deliver projects itself. Before proceeding, investigations should be made as to what, if any, there may be for professional indemnity given the town team will be encouraging organisations to develop projects and seek funding. 3. BSTC is the lead partner and accountable body of the town team. The town team will encourage the community to bring to fruition only those projects proposed in the Bude Vision Investment Plan. That plan has been endorsed by Town Council. It is to be assumed that Town Council supports the development and delivery of the projects within the plan unless otherwise stated. Number 4. The town team should encourage all organisations seeking to take projects forward to abide by BSTC, local authority standard procurement processes, both those in place now and those put in place in the future. Town team should always take into account the aim to increase economic vitality in the Bude-Stratton area. So meaningful efforts must be made to enable local people and local businesses to apply for any roles or funding opportunities being offered. Number 5, any proposals for changes to the town team constitution, terms of reference, should have the approval of BSTC. 6, wherever possible, BSTC representatives should be able to seek a deferment of a town team decision for up to 3 weeks to allow time for consultation with other councillors and or seek a committee recommendation or council resolution. 7, the town team should find and fund its own administrative staff should this prove necessary. So, you also have an updated terms of reference that takes into account these 7 points. Your options are to approve the revised terms of reference, to amend the revised terms of reference, to reject the revised terms of reference. Financial implications. There are no immediate implications. It is possible that projects within the Bude Vision Investment Plan will seek financial support from the Town Council. It is possible. It is possible. Legal implications. Officers have sought to determine the need for professional indemnity for the town team and its membership in its role as facilitator. The town team will not be applying for funds itself to deliver projects within the Vision Investment Plan. However, it will be encouraging other organisations to do so. There may be a requirement to protect the town team from accusations that poor advice had been given if projects run into difficulty. At the time of circulating this report, it had not been possible to confirm what need, if any, there was for the
That remains the case. At least because I took leave. Apologies.
Environmental implications, no. Fit for vision priorities, nurturing economic well-being, vitality of the area through collaborations with Cornwall Council, local business, community groups. Consultation. Officers have sought advice from Cornwall Council and the Cornwall Association, its local councils. I got lost. Is that it? That's it, isn't it? That's my favourite. I'm thinking the same thing twice. So, I want to put this clearly that I was one of the most determined of councillors to make sure that we had proper democratic oversight, that the town team had a robust constitution, and at the same time, I am committed to the town team fulfilling what it wants to fulfil, and I think it will be able to do all sorts of things that this town council just could not do, and certainly over a long term. So, my personal recommendation is that we accept these terms of references. But that's my personal recommendation from my particular point of view. I invite comments and questions. Kevin.
I think it's widely known that I have misgivings around the whole concept of town teams. And one of the main reasons that I'm sitting around this table is because a bandwagon got rolling around the proposals for the triangle, and I was one of the horrible people that got that bandwagon moving ahead of steam. But at some point, you have to stop being the disruptor in the room, and you have to start being the conciliator, and you have to start trying to be disruptive. And I think what we have, and I don't have it in front of me, but I do assure you I've spent some time reading through it. I think what we have is about as good as it's going to get. I think it is a significant improvement in some areas to what we had before, and it does sort of pin down that democratic oversight, which I think was the key concern for many of us. So I believe that this could be the start of a new chapter. I hope it will be the start of a new chapter, and that the town team goes from strength to strength and our relationship with it does the same.
Yes.
A couple of things. So first, maybe I have never really understood the town team. So I thought that they were the ones that were going to be actually implementing these changes, getting the funding and doing the work. But essentially what I've read is that they're not, they're just like this middleman that are going to help other people.
Yes.
So, okay, that goes on to my next point, is that it now just looks like that we are sort of completely responsible for anything that may go wrong. So if they give the wrong advice to somebody, it does seem as though if we are now completely in control of this. Essentially, if whoever is representing us in the town team say, yeah, go for it, then if it goes wrong, it's going to come back on us. Or, you know, if they say no, it comes back, whatever. But it feels like now it's totally our responsibility. And I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about that in terms of cost. I'm concerned about that in terms of things that could go wrong. You know, what if they give the wrong advice? What if projects don't work? What if all those things happen and now it's just going to come back on us?
Would you like to say something?
I would, yeah. Yeah, so that speaks to the point I've made on the legal implications. And I have sought some advice on this, and to some extent we're sort of finding our way, not in the dark, but the town teams are still in essence a new thing. And you've correctly put your finger on it. What the terms of reference say, and indeed what's always been the case, is that the town council is the lead partner and accountable body. I think I might have over-egged the concern to some extent, and I would prefer to be able to come tonight to have said I've spoken with Cornwall Association of Local Councils or others, and they've reassured us that this isn't the case. I think perhaps the best I can say in terms of reassurance is there would be a long process between the town team identifying an organisation that might want to take a project forward, already an organisation approaching the town team saying we'd like to take a project forward, and getting to a stage where that organisation is signposted to funding and is encouraged to do the funding. And the point about the town council, perhaps on the town team, bringing back decisions they're not comfortable with or they want to have a wider discussion about, is I think part of the break on the process. So if they felt this might be the right organisation, or that somehow the advice given by the town team they weren't comfortable with, there's an option to bring that back and to delay the process. So not only is the town council the accountable body, but also perhaps more than, and I realise the vice chair is watching of the town team, but also perhaps more than other organisations on the town team, has the ability to put the brakes on to some extent. Not in a meddling way, but just to bring back but then that's true of all organisations in the town team. They need to take it back to their constituent members and see that they're happy with decisions that they're taking. So I'm not sure how reassuring that is. I feel like I've spoken far too much. Sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll come to you then.
My only concern would be, from what I understand, what I've read, is the Secretariat, to some extent, the town team, would be our Bude-Stratton. Yeah.
Correct.
And workload.
And I think, again, point 7, this should hopefully offer some comfort on this issue. Whilst it's still the job, my job, to provide the secretariat for the meetings of the town team. If it moves to undertaking work beyond just convening the meetings, then the town team should find and fund its own administrative staff. So that's there. I don't foresee my. I don't foresee much of getting much bigger with regard to town.
Mr. James.
As Kevin said, when they came up with this idea about the triangle, most of you would not have anything to do with this. Indeed. I think that's about the biggest crowd that I've seen at a meeting here. For the on the triangle. So why does this council have anything at all to do with them? Because they have the only idea they come up with was an absolute total bloody joke.
Okay, so first off, can I ask you to moderate yourself, because this is a formal meeting, so please don't go down that way. Second of all, I can answer that in that the town team has been involved since then in an extensive consultation with people in the town. And as a result of that consultation, they've identified 15 things that they want to do. And the reason that we have something to do with them, apart from historically us being connected with them in an intimate way, is that the existence of a town team enables money to come into our community. The existence of a town team will enable them to assist people they will bring money in that will enable them to provide that assistance to people that would not necessarily be available to us.
But when they came up with a totally stupid idea, what doesn't matter how much money they've got, is it?
Okay.
The people abuse are going to say.
And in some ways, I gave you a kind of small answer. Can I give you a bigger answer? About 2 years ago, my father-in-law died, and he lived in Folkestone. And Folkestone was a rich coastal town at once upon a time. I spent a lot of time there around about the time that he died. And the town centre is a ghost town because it's a beautiful town centre, but it was set up for a way of running a town which unfortunately has become out of date and it's not been able to adapt. And one of the overriding things of a town team is to try and see off something like that happening to our town. And I believe that one of the things that makes lives better for people in Bude-Stratton is if their incomes are increased, and their incomes are increased through a vibrant town. And I think that personally, I think that this is a major way forward with a team focused on just that one thing all the time in their decision making that could be in place for years. But even though they could be in place for years, you're absolutely right that there needs to be what I call democratic oversight, which really means there needs to be brakes on things. There needs to be ways in which mistakes like that awful one that you're referring to are made. I'm not saying mistakes might not be made in the future, don't get me wrong, but to do this, I feel we have a chance of a better future for Bude. To not do this, I feel we'll be letting Bude down. I really do. That's how I feel. Okay.
Well, if the town team would like to go down and sort crooked speech out, which brings all the people interviewed, I think we'd be a lot better off, because the town is the problem. This crooked speech is an absolute disgrace.
And that's a separate issue. I can't comment
Well, I
on
thought the town team was supposed to be improving the place.
Well, yeah, but I'd say at the moment they've got 15 things they have to do. I can't comment on that. Yes, Chris.
I appreciate this is a new setup with, in terms of reference, but in the old setup, I believe there was something about public referendums, where if a scheme, before a scheme went ahead, if there was objections from the public, they could ask for a referendum, and the decision of the referendum would decide whether it went ahead or not. I mean, this might be version,
Yes, it
many
might.
years ago, but that's all that I
Right.
remember reading all about this, and I thought, well, if there's something like this, if it's something that the town council might before, but the local people could say, look, we want a referendum because we don't like what you're doing, which I always felt was a saving grace for the triumph.
Okay, I can't speak for that.
Hopefully, you might be able to shed some light on that, Chris. That sounds like a position that was in place prior to the consultation that took place this time last year.
Good working.
And what's stated repeatedly in the new terms of reference is that the town team is only going to look at the 15 projects that the community, on being consulted, said it wanted to do. It's not going to stray beyond that. So I think the justification in trying to progress those projects is saying, well, this is what the community told the consultants that came last year that wanted to do. There'll be hopefully no surprises.
No.
Yes, Vicky.
Yeah, could I just say that having stayed in Folkestone, I think it was the year before last, Folkestone, yes, is incredibly mundane. To the extent that the hotel I was staying in made national views because parts of the front of it are actually falling off. Literally.
Was she cheap?
Yeah, it was cheap actually. I'm poor. And I would like to give the town team a chance this time. I'm hoping they've learned over the triangle. And I think social media played a big part with saying to the town team they had got it wrong. And I also said, I think you commented that that was the night that this room was packed full. And I think the town team would take note of that. So I would like to give it a chance.
I had a chance to do it.
No.
Yeah, I've been a bystander basically with the town team this year. Done a lot more listening and we've not contributed much to the debate because I haven't had anything useful to contribute. But there's just one thing that and I don't want this to be taken personal. But one thing that has come true right the way through is the issues around democratic credibility, accountability, validity, and democratic kind of validity or credibility has been a big issue now for a few years, and I have this probably more related to the next item on the agenda. I see we're proposing 2 unelected councillors to represent the council.
Well, first of all, can I stop you there? I'm an elected councillor just as much as you are.
Debatable.
I stood in the same election as you and was elected in the same way as you. It's not debatable, it's a statement of fact. So can you stop that? I'm listening to your point.
Yeah.
Can you just stop that? Yeah, what's your point?
No, sorry, you said you wanted. I was elected to this council, actually, even though I just stood down in the middle, I was actually democratically elected.
Yeah, and you were democratically elected the last time?
You weren't.
Are you saying you were not, you're saying that you were not democratically elected to this council?
I was in 2021.
Okay, well then, but you resigned.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. So, can you just take note of what your chair is saying to you? Can you stop using that language against me here in this room?
I'm not sure what your point is.
Well, you should be aware, councillor, that in the past, you have used that language, and I'm quite happy for you to use that language out there in social media and the rest, because that's fine. But we are in a room where this is a council chamber, and as you've been told in the past, that everybody at this table has a full right to be here. And I will defend that right, absolutely. And I do not want it being undermined. So that's the point that I'm going to stop talking, and I'm appreciated if you do. Is there any particular question that you have? I'm honestly interested in your question, if you have.
No, there's no particular question. The other thing I would say is I am also entitled to express an opinion, not just express an opinion.
Yes, and I've listened to you.
And that's
okay.
I'm entitled to do that.
You are, yes. Okay, right. So, anybody else would like to ask a question or comment? Okay, right, so I would like to propose this. I would like to propose that we accept the new terms of reference as outlined in the document in front of you. Do you want to have a second? Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Those in favour? Hands down, thank you. Those against? Those abstaining? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, now, we come to number 11, which is kind of an outcome of some of the discussions that were had. So I will simply face it as this. As you know, by the terms of reference or constitution that we now agree, there should be 2 representatives on the town team. This is difficult for me to put because I'm one of the people that is being put up to stand on it, but I would certainly put myself forward to stand on it because of my particular interest. I would put this, that members of the town team were enthusiastic about the concept of recognition of the town team in terms of mayor and deputy mayor being representatives on their team. And so this is a matter that follows on from that. I would certainly put myself forward for it, and I would certainly nominate the deputy mayor forward. But I genuinely am interested in comments and queries. Yes.
Yeah, it's a query more than a comment. Is this saying that the mayor and the deputy will be ex officio on the town team, whoever they happen to be as personalities, or is this to elect yourself and Ethan as individuals?
It's the first one. I think I'm right in saying that. I think that, yes, that was the first one. So, it is entirely up to this council whether they want to do that or not. And we're actually talking about the roles, not the people. Okay. Any other questions, queries?
I did, but if it's the roles and not the people, then I perhaps don't have so much of an issue.
Okay.
But if it is the people, then I do have a little query about having 2 councillors who share very similar views and beliefs. And therefore, if something was to come up in the town team, I believe that you and Ethan would both perhaps pass the same thing through or not pass the same thing through.
Okay.
And I don't believe that that is a fair representation of this council or viewed as a whole.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I was going to say exactly the same thing. To have faction is probably the wrong term, but to have 2 people in the same camp.
Yeah.
This democratic oversight is lacking.
Yeah. Okay. I take your point.
That's not a criticism.
No, that can happen at any time.
Yeah,
because you think about any makeup of a particular council at any time in the future is going to end.
I think it was 0.5 or 0.6 where it said if either of our representatives have an issue, they could bring it back to us. Well, there's quite a few people around here that might have an issue with something that neither of you 2 would, and we would never get any kind of democratic oversight of our concerns.
I can answer to that to some way, but I'm not disagreeing with your point. I can answer that somewhere. There's a lot of discussion. I talked a lot with the town team about the need for representatives from the town council, as well as operating with their own sense of making decisions, really should understand their responsibilities, delegates of the council. And that was a lot about what was the need to come back to ask back. But I take your point.
Yeah.
Yes.
My concern would be that as mayor and deputy mayor, those are both quite busy positions.
Yeah.
And to take this on board as well.
Yeah.
Would one role or another role then not get full time to it? And my concern would be that the town team role might not get the full attention that it would need.
I take your point, and it depends on the mayor the time. This particular mayor, me, has chosen to step back from more than one committee because I was aware of the need to have an overview rather than to be continuously jumping from committee to committee. So, but I'm talking about me. A future mayor might make completely opposite that. I will begin everything. I do take that on board, but then maybe somebody taking on the role of mayor would have to understand if something like this was passed, then somebody who put themselves forward for the role of mayor would have to understand that this was a role that they had a responsibility to fulfill. But I can't.
Yes.
That's somebody else.
And I just sort of feel going forward on that some of our more experienced councillors, like Peter Brewer and Peter Moore, aren't actually here tonight. Comment on that, and they might have a different input to it.
Okay, yeah.
I think I would feel more comfortable having it as two councillors maybe chosen by us as a whole council, rather than just saying, you know, it is the mayor and deputy mayor, whoever they may be. I think it would be a better option if it was a whole council decision.
Right. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because there's been numerous incarnations of the town team, but my understanding of the last setup was the mayor was an ex officio post on the town team with other members of the council. Now, the mayor goes through a process. The mayor has to be elected by the people around the table. I mean, I sit here as the only person who's not gone through an election, apart from being elected by the people around the table. So, you know, you can query democracy, but the people around the table have elected the mayor. So I'm comfortable for the mayor to be an ex officio post. The question for me is whether we need two, or whether the second representative should be decided from volunteers within the council. And I would be inclined to the latter. Not anything against each of the personality, but to have the two posts as automatic ex officio posts just seems to be slightly means.
Yeah, I know. I'd effectively go along with that, and I think, in all honesty, we needed to know this before we elected mayors. You know, I don't, no disrespect, but you two stood on the same ticket. You stood as a pair, and now we've been presented with something that says to agree to appoint the mayor and the deputy mayor. It doesn't matter what it's to. It's taking the option of our ability to choose away from us. And no disrespect to you or Ethan, I'm just not, I'm just not comfortable with. There's 18 of us. We shouldn't be prevented with a sort of de facto. Here you go.
Okay. So, anybody else wish to comment? Yes.
I'll just add that, yeah, I think maybe just the mayor and then another representative, and also add that, you know, you were voted as mayor, but it was not unanimous, just as an extra point.
Yes, okay, I'm not going to argue. So are you proposing an amendment to that, in which you are saying that that you would prefer the mayor and another councillor?
Yeah, I'll propose that.
Okay, I'd be happy to second that. Okay, so that's the proposal. So the
So would you
proposal
have
is
to decide what that other councillor is now, or would that have to come back to full council?
I was just thinking the same thing.
Sorry,
The way that is worded, I don't think we can amend it in that way.
Yeah.
We, that
Yeah, I
think it has to be batted off the table and brought back. The wording of it, I'm sorry to say, is put us in a blind alley.
Yes,
In
not
a sense,
proposal.
I think the way around that is if you're content that this status quo pertains until this has been looked at again, then the current representatives, which are the mayor and deputy mayor, will it should attend the call meeting between now and 4th of July. Sorry, I'm trying to remember how that happened.
I'm not aware of it happening. I believe that it was, it occurred because you as mayor were on the town team previous to me, and I believe the deputy members.
No, we elected 3. I was
One
there as mayor,
councillor.
and we had 2 individual
I
councillors.
did not attend the meeting
Yeah.
as a representative.
Yeah,
On the town
you
team,
going
I was
as
there,
mayor.
but there was one point on the agenda, that the one thing on the
I
agenda.
don't
was
think
the-
either ever been
I see.
appointed by this
Yeah.
council to represent us.
Yes.
You know, this is why I've got a bit of an issue with this.
Understand.
Looking like a de facto coup.
Who-
Well,
Well, as they say,
well, appointed to represent us. but-
would you be content with the mayor and or the deputy mayor attending a town team meeting that may be called, and I have no notification to now your next opportunity to choose? Otherwise, we've got.
If we're not happy with it, do the rules allow it.
Yeah, so, yeah, sorry, can I get some clarification from the proposal on this one?
Yeah.
please?
At the moment, the elected representative is Councillor Daw.
Thank you.
Councillor Good is no longer a councillor and Councillor Partridge resigned the post.
Purchase.
So at the moment,
Purchase.
the only purchase, sorry, the only member, the elected member is Councillor Daw. At this present time.
That's my problem.
That's as is.
Maintain the status quo until we decide this on the floor.
Well, yeah, I'm only trying to make sure we don't get ourselves in a huge.
No,
knot.
thank you.
Yeah, because we are potentially getting ourselves into a huge knot.
Councillor Russell.
Well, it seems to me that it would be reasonable not to have elect a block, even if it's only 2, that individually, that the representatives would be elected individually rather than, say, the mayor and deputy mayor. But say, well, elect this.
So take it.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, go on, yes.
Yeah. I think me standing down from that position as I'm no longer mayor would be reasonable, and being replaced with you as mayor would also be entirely
Well, it's
reasonable.
got to be done properly.
It would be blocked.
I agree entirely. I agree entirely. So shall we defer that? Yeah. Okay. So, number 12. Number 12. To consider a request for the flag of St. George to be flown annually on St. George's Day. I invite comments and questions from everybody. Councillor Colwell first.
Flags are expressions of identity, and nobody can impose an identity on someone, and nobody can take an identity away from them. I have always identified as Cornish. I identified as Cornish before the term identifying as was even a thing, and most people sort of accept that. I've had a little bit of grief over the years by people that don't. People who consider it an affectation or some sort of an insult to England or Britain in general. But generally speaking, I think the flag of St. Bernard's banner is the most appropriate flag to fly. But although I don't identify as English, I have no particular problem with the patron saint of Portugal, Georgia, and Gloucester. So I am quite happy for that to fly on that particular day. I'm also acutely aware that there are other people within our community that identify in different ways as Scottish or Irish or Welsh. And I would be reluctant to sort of discriminate against those individuals. So I would like to extend this, if at all possible, within sort of standing orders and procedure, to make the Welsh flag on St. David's Day, the Irish flag, although I realise there's more than one, on St. Patrick's Day, and the Scottish Solitaire on St. Andrew's Day.
I'm going to ask the clerk and deputy clerk. That's not what we've been asked.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's not on the agenda. We stray into dangerous territory if we start deciding things. We've not notified the public.
Sorry.
Great, I present it purely as an aspiration.
We will take that. Councillor Dawn, did you have your hand?
I think it would be decidedly unpopular if we did. Other councils have tried this and it really hasn't gone well. And I think we did fly it when the women's football team were in the World Cup final. I think that was entirely reasonable. I don't know. I think we might have another flag gate.
Councillor,
I don't have a problem with it. I think it would be appropriate actually. But the question is from which flagpole or which flagpoles. I wouldn't be in favour of flying this from Sugar Hill, but I think it should be accommodated.
Yeah.
Could I make a suggestion, perhaps, then, if you're considering which flagpole, on the cultural and heritage side of things, the castle, that it would be flown from the castle flagpole?
Councillor Dawn, I haven't forgotten you, Mr. Jennings. I'll come to
That's quite an elegant solution.
Well, as chair of cultural and heritage now, I'm just gathering things under my wings.
We don't, sorry, through the chair, we don't currently have the option of flying it from the Sugar Hill without changing the flagpoles.
Yes, I think you're right saying that. I see you.
This is a request, isn't it?
Yeah. You can change that if you consider a request. I'm just looking at the request itself, and it doesn't specify. Hopefully, someone might say from where the flag is requested to be flown. So that's
Has everybody seen the accompanying emails?
Yes, but I would rather not go down the route of that. I'd rather us just.
I wasn't going to go down.
Just make the decision based upon this particular request.
Yeah,
I would prefer that to happen. Mr. Jennings.
This is Cornwall. We have some parents there. They were there St George's Day in Wales or Scotland. Wasn't where in Cornwall.
Thank you.
We have our own site, and that's how it is. Ultimately, they have St George's Day. For once, St George's Day is called ultimately. Not that anybody really want to go there, but
I do actually great your comment on that. Okay.
It would be helpful, Mr. Mayor.
Anything's helpful. Appreciated.
I may need to verify this as fact, but I'm under the impression that the Bodmin Town Council may address the situation by flying the Union flag on such
Is it possible to pass it over to the cultural, what's it thing, until we know and to find out whether this is?
We see what happens to the bottom.
Yeah. Or is that?
We probably could.
Yeah.
I mean, the flag flying protocol says that councillors can decide requests, and the council's decision is final. So you're free to say whatever you want.
Well, it seems to me like reasonable to refer it to a committee. Because it's the 23rd of April, so we've got this.
25, you don't have to make a quick decision here. We could consider this alongside all sorts of other things that are proposed, yeah? And this is true. So, okay, so I propose that we defer this until it's been considered in committee. Then with a second. Okay, those in favour? Yeah. Heritage Committee. Heritage. Okay, so we now at item 13, to elect members to committees. So we have several committees that are vacancies. The planning committee presently has 3 vacancies. Is there anybody that feels that they would like to join the planning committee?
There was a discussion at yesterday's planning committee meeting about the time. The time seems to be inconvenient for several people. And traditionally, planning committee has met during office hours to facilitate applicants and developers and agents and stuff. The feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, the way it was there, the feeling is that this should be more about what's convenient for councillors rather than for developers and agents. And if at a more convenient time to encourage more councillors to join would be, if there's more convenient time, I think that should be considered.
So that's a possibility, but we're not voting on that at this point, but it's a possibility. So are there any councillors here that would be interested, given the potential that we might consider changing the time? Okay, not at this point. That brings me to facilities and environmental services, which only has one vacancy. Is there anyone who would like to?
Rollicking good evening. Facilities environment.
Vicky.
I would like to join.
Brilliant. I second Vicky. All those in favour of Vicky? That is unanimous. Vicky, vote for yourself. Okay. All right. 13C, Cultural and Heritage Services Committee. There is currently one vacancy. Any councillors that fancy that? Then we will have to defer that until next time and let's begin. Right, we are now at number 14 to receive any updates from lead councillors. Any lead councillors like to say something? Councillor Doyle.
I'm not doing anything about my lead councillor role, but having had a few moments to consider, I would like to retract my comment about a coup.
Oh, thank you.
It came across slightly harsher than intended. It wasn't. I used a better term to describe what I did not mean.
I thank you for your apology.
Yeah,
can I assure you that I did not take it?
I figured as much, but we've got an audience watching and they should know that we behave reasonably well. So I apologise.
Lorraine.
Yeah, just a quick update on the health things. I've been to, again, over the last month, numerous meetings with NHS, etc., and also the health and wellbeing within the CAP, which I think was mentioned last time that Amanda finally read out for me. I've still got a load of meetings. I think I'm in with the NHS 3 times next week, which is yeah. But promising. It does look like we're finally being listened to slightly. So I'm still fighting on that. The NHS have decided that they would like to put on the summer wellbeing festivals. They are planning on doing 8 across the county, me being lead, so that I would try and help the matter as per usual. So I put you forward, and then said that my company would pay for the room. So the NHS, I'm running, I think, quite a few times next week with communications, etc., which I will convey back to the clerk. But we have booked the 3rd of August. It will be a community event, not just the Summer Wellbeing NHS one, but they are planning for a number of the NHS services to attend. I'm saying this now because I really think that if we can get these people up here, we need the public and councillors to turn up and fight our corner and tell them what we're missing and speak to these people, because the more people that say something, the more likely we are going to get something done. Please. And I will update. We've got another meeting Monday with the CAP. So if anyone has anything they would like to put forward to the Community Area Partnership, please let me know by Monday midday, please.
Before I can say something, can I, on a personal note, thank you for your unstinted and persistent championing of these things. The first time we met was long before all of this, and it was about this sort of stuff, wasn't it? And you have been continuously over a series of years item views corner, so thank you for that. Kevin?
It's not a lead councillor matter, it's a facilities and environmental matter. I would like to offer my apologies, public apologies, to the facilities manager and his staff. At the last meeting of the Facilities and Environmental Committee, we were made aware of a incident in which one of the toilet cleaners was subject to assault. And in hindsight, we did not make enough of that. We did not provide adequate support at that meeting, and I would like to publicly apologise for that. The mayor and I subsequently went to the facilities unit and are in the process of mending fences. I personally am trying to arrange a meeting with the gentleman concerned, and we have plans moving forward, which not for discussion tonight, to alter the operational arrangements of the toilets to hopefully make these things a thing of the past. But I believe it would be remiss of me not to make some sort of public statement on that at this point.
Thank you. Okay. Any others? Vicky?
I received a letter today, and basically it's referring to the fact that I'm not ex-serving armed forces personnel on the council. It then goes on to the signing of the Armed Forces Covenant. Then it goes on to the fact that the writer of the letter sort of feels that we as a council have not possibly put enough into supporting national historic events, etc. That all we seem to be doing is illuminating Pepper Pot, and that perhaps the committee efforts should be reported in the Bude-Stratton. There was a very unofficial meeting today between myself and Mr. Gibbs and the mayor about looking at trying to pull the armed forces part of our community in with the council more, looking at exploring that role further. And I also suggested unofficially that now I've got culture and heritage, that the two things could possibly go hand in hand with looking at getting the castle and the castle team on board with looking at some of these things and looking at what we can do. That's, and thank you to the writer of the letter who has remained anonymous, but that is their right.
Yeah.
But with 2020 hindsight, I think we did miss opportunities with this D-Day celebration. We do have within the council a particularly good exhibit on the Rangers and their role in D-Day and the relationship between Bude and the Rangers, and I think we could have made more of that as a council, and in hindsight, it was remiss of us not to.
Any other comments? Okay. Any other lead councillors wish to say anything? Right. We now move on to receive any correspondence from the clerk.
I do have a few items actually, unusually. So these are sort of short emails that we've received in the last few days, and I think you might find them of interest. Also, before I start on that, I just wanted to also mention suicide awareness training. So, and that's, I'm looking for any of the dates, so it's before the CAP meeting, isn't it? On Monday. So anyone, if anyone would like to attend that, everyone's welcome. This is, I think it's 5:15 on Monday. Yeah, I can think. Yes, I can send the email around again. I've already mentioned it once, I think, that it was a while ago.
It is well worth doing.
And they are certainly hoping that there will be some support from council. all right, so I'll just run through these. So I won't sort of divulge the names of people, but I'll sort of summarise as best I can. So first one's actually just a one-liner about no. And then it says, loving the villages and other areas being allowed to grow, natural and wildlife friendly. Thank you. That's a good news story. The second was a phone call. A local trader thanked the council for flying pride flags. Much appreciated and supported. That one. And the next one I'll read out is actually from the Twinning Association. And to thank us, so it's actually addressed to Ian, we put it all together. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you for hosting our welcome reception in the Potter Hall. The touches, the flag, the gift, the welcome in French, the warm and insightful speech from the mayor, his daughter interpreting, and the copious buffet were greatly appreciated. We had a very busy and successful weekend. Our French guests were made to feel very welcome wherever they went. And we were very lucky with the weather, showing us the best of views in Cornwall. I'm going to write an article for the local newspaper if you'd like me to forward it for use on the town council site. I can do that too. And I will email Councillor Diffie and Frankie as well separately. But please pass our sincere thanks to them too, also to Alan and the team in the kitchen. So the positive one, and then the final one is also positive. So this is a thank you from Bude Climate Partnership. And this is following the Climate Festival event. So they are writing to thank your whole team for their support. The office, the castle, the library teams have all been amazing. So general thanks to the staff. You've been an absolute pleasure to work with. I also want to mention the caretakers' efforts, especially Dave, for his on-day support, not least, given he was also necessarily distracted by the flag incidents. The setup on Saturday was spot on, and she goes on to say how helpful Dave was, and that we are grateful he looked after us so well. So in short, a big thank you from our team to yours, and we look forward to continued collaboration. All right. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor,
did we have, some councils have had communication from CALC regarding publicity, etc., around the general election?
There was an email from Cornwall Council today that I've circulated.
This was advice from CALC, got them somewhere, and it talks about the use of council facilities for council premises for election purposes.
Okay, that might be the one that I did remember looking at, seeing some other election advice a week or so ago. I'll look and see if it's the same one. Probably now, there's quite a few things. We do have to be careful about that.
Because there was a political party used premises last week, wasn't there?
So,
which are you referring to?
Sorry?
More than one have happened.
Reform. Yeah, well, it's
I
relevant.
think they were told to leave.
Sorry?
I think they were told to leave.
okay, that is something we will look into. We do have to make sure we're very careful with that.
Yeah, because we wouldn't want to set precedent.
No, okay.
Thanks for raising that. Okay. Please, item 16. Note the date of the next meeting, which is 4th of July 2024. And I promise you that we will move that meeting through as swiftly as possible, because I think some of us might be interested in what's happening later on in the evening. And with that, I now declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.